Hello and welcome to Transforming Tomorrow from the Pentland Centre for Sustainability in Business. I'm Paul Turner.
And I'm Professor Jan Babington. We're living in a world of transitions with AI and shifting geopolitics. So how do businesses manage their transitions to a more sustainable future? Clue, it's all about the people. And what can the film industry teach us about leadership and sustainability?
Are you a good leader, Jan?
It's hard to know, isn't it?
I've asked people and the responses are very much definitive one way or the other.
I think leadership is a really interesting thing because it's kind of intangible, but when you encounter a good leader, you know you've seen it. So it's one of those, sort of amazing sort of concepts, I suppose, like innovation, like sustainability, like a lot of these things that we're interested in. It's both ephemeral, but also concrete as well.
Have you, when you've become a leader in various ways, taken elements of other leaders you've had during your career and tried to build them into yourself? And likewise, taken elements from other leaders during your career and thought, I don't want to be anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. And so you can bring in things that you've admired from other people, but also, I suppose, given that leadership is often a long-term thing, so you might be leading an academic department for 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 years, it also has to be within yourself. I guess you have to be authentic, and I think driving out your worst characteristics is okay, but pretending to be somebody else seems a hard thing to do for that kind of period of time. So I guess it's some mad thing in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and yet you've managed it for at least 6 years as leader of the Pentland Centre,
Yeah, but it goes through phases. Yeah. And I also try to reflect on how I need to be for the next phase, because sort of getting things started, steady state, new strategies, that's different kind of leadership tasks, I guess.
Yes, and leadership is going to tie in with sustainability across many ways. You've got sustainability leaders, people who are taking sustainability in a certain direction, but you'll also have attitudes towards sustainability and how you envelop them within your leadership activities. There's other ways as well.
And I guess the thing that I often notice, particularly with groups, is that sometimes the leader's not the boss. So there's people in all sorts of places who are doing leadership, but who might not have the label. So I think it makes it even more complicated. We need some help, Paul. Yes. We definitely need some help to understand how this plays together.
We need to, as I've had it described, we need to manage upwards. You manage the people who are your leaders and get them to lead in a way that is better and get them to do the right things. Yeah, that's something I was told I needed to do a few times in my career. You need to manage upwards with your leaders. But we're not managing upwards today. We've just brought in an expert who can tell us what we're doing wrong. You in particular, you're more of a leader than me. What are you doing wrong, Jan?
You'd be surprised, Paul, where you lead.
Where I lead, people follow whether they want to or not. Yeah, that sounds a bit sinister. It does. Yes. I'm going to start some kind of dictatorship. I'll write that down for after episode active actions.
Conquer the world.
Yes. Yeah. But yes, I think today we should talk to someone who is a leadership coach, who has got experience of working with leaders around the world, someone who has founded his own business, someone who is an entrepreneur in residence here at Lancaster University Management School, and who guides our students to become better future leaders. Does that sound like a good idea?
It sounds much better than you and me wittering on.
Me and you wittering on is apparently why most people listen to this podcast. But no, the guest will bring far more to it than we can. So let's say hello to Sanjay Rishi. Hello, Sanjay.
Hi, Paul. Hello, Jan.
Lovely to hear from you. Look, could you tell us a bit about yourself, your career, and how you came to be working alongside Lancaster University?
Yeah, well, to go back a little bit into the past, I'm a bit of a nomad because my dad was in the army, and in 16 years of formal education, I studied across 14 schools and colleges, right? So I think gave me a lot of ease with cultures and moving around and adapting. But later on in life, I realized it also came in the way of investing in authentic relationships, because one was making and leaving friends so quickly, I studied biology, anthropology, drifted into an MBA, and then I think a short stint at the Film Institute in India, uh, gave me this epiphanic realization that cinema was such a powerful means of creating a fantastic learning experience. So the first half of my career uh, was creating learning content or learning experiences, as I would prefer to call it, through analog video, when the CD-ROMs came along, digital video, the internet, and blended learning. Uh, and then the past about 18, 19 years, I've moved into consulting and leadership, organization design and change, executive coaching, customized bespoke solutions. And actually, as Paul was mentioning, I think the birth and the idea of my own work in transitions actually came from my second master's, my MRes with Lancaster University, which I graduated from in 2018. And my coach there, my mentor, Juliet McDonnell, she asked me, she said, "So what do you want to focus on in your thesis?" And I kept dabbling with words like transformation, change, this, that, and the other. And finally, I said transition. And that's why the name of the firm, At the Rate Intersections. So at intersections, you have choices, dilemmas, transitions. And since then, I've been working with Lancaster University since 2019, entrepreneur in residence, teaching fellow, career mentor. Thanks to Paul, written a couple of articles for 54 Degrees. So that's the association.
I think it's fair to say, Sanjay, in the nicest possible way, you've been around a bit.
Yes, yeah, I think the grey also attests to that.
So in all of that, though, in all of those experiences that you've gone from cinema to leadership, transitions, all across this, your involvement with Lancaster, how has sustainability come to fit into your work, into your thinking?
So I think two responses to that. I think one is that lasting impact, I think, is what came thanks to cinema, right? I think that the greats made films, whether it's a Kurosawa, Satyajit Ray, Fellini, it's art is like it lives on, right? I mean, it's the next best thing to immortality that can happen. So I think stories, cinema, books, I think that I think somewhere left a focus on impact, and therefore when I started my consulting work early 2000s, an immense focus was on training and workshops and so on. And I found that while the workshop was exciting, but the impact it left was ephemeral, right? You've done the high fives and you've gone back to work. But the shift is not taking place, which is where I shifted to interventions and hence customized work, typically working in the field, in the trenches, so to say, rather than disassociated with the workplace reality. And I think the second part is that in some of my work, I was exposed to adventure learning, adventure trekking, leadership through treks and so on and so forth. And I think the presence of nature and its erosion is an ever-present reminder wherever you go that the world around you is crumbling and not much is being done. So lastly, I think I've had the privilege of working with organizations, UNICEF, for example, Nandi Foundations, for example, Nandi Waters, Glida, firms which are working in the area of health, energy, water, dairy, and a lot of mental wellness and mental well-being practitioners, I think. So I think, I mean, in looking back, it all makes sense, right? So I can give you these three threads, but I think these were intuitive directions from inside me and kind of came together. right? So it wasn't a grand plan to begin with, right?
So, in your work, particularly with leaders and aspiring leaders, how do they
Right.
think about sustainability? What kind of attitudes have you come across from the people you work with?
So so the attitudes are varied. I mean, they come from a spectrum. So they could be from the oblivious and the uncaring to the aware, and finally that rarity who acts on things. But interestingly, as I thought about our conversation today, what I realized is that is miss a whole of organization approach. You could be creating products or services for customers, and you could be focused on those products and services being sustainable. But is the leader concentrating on the process of making those products and services and the impact on the physical surroundings where they produce these things, and most importantly on the people who are producing these things, right? So I think there are hits and misses there, and I detect people picking up some aspects but not having an overview of it. And there are reasons for it, as we will uncover as we go across. And I think, is it also reflected in their lifestyle outside work? You know, so so that's also a question, right? So am I living this?
So we've already mentioned a couple of times when you were talking earlier about your career path and how you've come to be where you are, about transitions. So
Right.
you've been looking at sustainable transitions as well. I know discussions we've had previously, privately, and with regards to other things about sustainable transitions. What do you mean when
Right.
you say sustainable transitions from your perspective?
So first, what do I mean by transition, right? So just to clarify that piece, and then to talk about sustainable transitions, right? So transitions. What is a transition? It's a space where one is envisaging, or one is actually left where one is, the present, and has only a glimpse or a sense of where one needs to reach, right? And excitement and apprehension are both occurring rapidly, right? And often the skills and the insights and tools of the past may not be relevant to the future. So you need to sort of build future skill sets on the go. So it's a space of churn in the head. It's a space where one is feeling extreme dependency, and yet one has to unlock the wisdom within oneself, right? Uh, but if you connect what is happening inside to what is happening outside, especially after COVID, right? One could be stuck navigating multiple transitions, right? Some by choice, many often by compulsion, right? So if you look at the AI story today, which is ever present, the promise of much, which is yet uh, partly clear, much unclear, but there are also people already losing jobs, right? Uh, Geopolitics, conflict, supply chain issues, trade, none of this is helping. So in such a situation, how do you how do you how do you build the physical reality of an organization which is sustainable and can navigate through this? And how do you equip yourself and your people inside, right, the inner work, to do, I guess, like a like whitewater rafting, right? I mean, you're being just thrown down the river. So I think that to me is sustainable transition, right? To take the outside reality into account and the inside reality into account, and stitch a way forward. Easier said than done, but yeah.
Have you noticed changes then in attitudes towards it all when it comes to sustainable transitions, Sanjay, over the past few decades? Have you seen people shifting in their attitudes and recognizing what they need to do there?
Well, yes and no. So, with the let me share an observation and a couple of examples, right? With the benefit of hindsight, right? And with this frame that I'm sharing, that there has to be a holistic view of the environment, the ecosystem, and a whole of organization approach. Let's face it, it's easier said than done. And are decision makers aware and taking note of this, as you ask? So there are two questions. One is the degree of of awareness. I think this holistic awareness is rarer. It is getting reflected in the physical infrastructure, the spaces that the people inhabit to an extent, but is it getting reflected in the values, the policies, processes, and ways of working? That's where I was saying yes and no. So let me give you a couple of examples. I worked with Group Danone in Turkey. We concluded this work just before COVID, and the CEO at that time, Emre Kasikci, he and his HR head Pinar, and then subsequently their colleague Tugba, they came up with this construct of creating a leadership program, and we did a lot of back and forth. And they said, you know what, we have access to the best colleges and universities, but we want a program which is memorable to the participants in terms of making a shift in their careers and their lives. And there was a big struggle for me to sort of find the pivotal, the keystone, if I may call it, in the arch, kind of a metaphor for the program. And finally, we settled on accountability. And how did we define accountability? We started or built the base of the program to be accountable to oneself, right? Where are you heading in your career? Regardless of whether you stay in this organization or you don't stay in this organization. What's your own story? And that was an immense struggle for the participants because nobody had thought about it, or if they had thought about it, they had shied away from it, thinking that the organization, like a mother, will take care of it, right? Or the next organization they join. And the central question was that if you are not accountable for yourself, then how will you be accountable for other people who report to you or who work with you, or for the resources an organization entrusts to you, right? And this research was drawn from mission critical teams. So when I say mission critical teams, I'm talking disaster management, I'm talking medicine, I'm talking about the military, I'm talking about adventure sports or aerobatics, where the results are 0-1, right? It's not a little less profit or a little bit of loss. It's lives, right? And I think in all mission critical teams, accountability to self, taking responsibility for one's actions becomes paramount. So this program was created around this construct, and there was a measurable impact, and so on and so forth. But it's very interesting to see that the ways of working started changing. So the senior management team, at the beginning of the work, they had said, we would like our people to demonstrate dissent. And then I remember the chief financial officer, she said, well, these people are asking a lot of uncomfortable questions. They're saying, why can't I change from this function to that function, and so on and so forth. And they also started impacting simple things, but high value things like why can't we have a no meeting day in office? Why can't we leave earlier on Friday to avoid traffic jams? Right? So I think there are leaders, they may not be able to frame it as a sustainable transition blueprint, but they create this environment through which one can do this work. So that's an example.
I really like that example because I'm mildly obsessed by accountability, and accountability to oneself is the sort of the basis of thinking about how to be in the world. I also like the way you talked about like a holistic approach, but also both internally and externally being aligned and around sustainability. Do you observe situations where this match between actions and attitudes is not there, and why do you think that's the case? So first, is there a mismatch? And then it'd be interesting to hear your reflections on why you think that happens.
So I think the fundamental reason or two reasons I can come up with, and please let me know if that answers your question. One is the action driven by the right intent, right? So what is the intent behind the action? So are we doing something, an intervention, whether it's leadership development, organization change, or all the nice words that we have today? Are we doing it to, for example, get ourselves listed as a public company, or improve our market presence before there is a merger, or to let head office know that we are spending our budgets wisely, right? Is that the intent? Posturing, or is the intent actually genuine, authentic betterment of people and the surroundings? So that is one. The other aspect comes from, I think, a larger can of I don't know if you can call it a larger can of worms, but a larger, messier issue, which is what is the how is the if you are a subset in a larger set, let's say you are a country organization or a state inside a country, then are you aligned with the larger ideology of the organization? So there are leaders who take charge, who try to do certain things, but then they run afoul of the geography CEO. So for example, you could be a country head in Malaysia or Indonesia, but is the Asia Pac management aligned to what you're doing? Or you could be a Latin America CEO, but is the Americas management aligned to what you're doing, right? So I think that starts creating a mismatch. So intent and also alignment with the larger ideology of the people who hold the levers.
What I'm also interested in is hearing about what you observe with different leaders across the world and how attitudes might vary by geography. And I guess this has really been on our mind during this podcast because in North America in particular, particularly in the USA, attitude towards sustainability in a general political sense has changed. And that seems to have some flow through to organizations and then flows through to how leaders think about sustainability. Whereas other parts of the world, if you like, sustainability might be drawn from more deep-seated values and approaches to life. And it'd be just interesting to know whether or not you see some of those variations as well between different places, which might give you different hope for transitions and transformation in different places as well.
So it's interesting. So this might appear contradictory, but it's not actually, because intent is universal. So you can find well-intentioned people and leaders anywhere. I mean, whether it's North America, Asia, or Latin America, etc., Australia. But I think in general, in the East, when I say East, I'm talking about the Mediterranean eastwards. Uh, the emphasis on relationships and on community is uh, is higher, right? And that's the way of life. That collectivism, if I may say so, versus individuality. So yes, I can give an example of the late, God bless him, Ratan Tata, the uh, chairman of the late chairman of the Tata Group, which is from salt to steel, they are all over the place. Uh, Years ago, there was a unrest in the eastern part of India. Industrial unrest became a political situation, and I won't go into the merits of that. But the Tata Group had to exit because of that. And I remember as the employees moved out of the yet to be fully constructed the township, Mr. Ratan Tata was in the uh, leading bus, and he said that the safety of our employees is paramount, you know, to uh, to everything else. So, so the embodiment of those values, right, in actions and being role modeled by a leader, I think spoke volumes, right? Because that project never fully recovered, right? It was the smallest, cheapest car in India, the Tata Nano. That project never recovered after that, even though they relocated. But taking that hit, I think, is an example. However, with this interconnectedness of the world, right? If your headquarters is in Europe, or if your headquarters is in Australia, or if your headquarters is in, uh, Turkey uh, or Brazil, the values of those founders and those organizations will flow in to the subsidiaries, right? So, so the local culture will be impacted by the parent culture, uh, and and that can create friction, that can create simmering resentment, that can create a lot of mess.
I'm wanting to just look here, Sanjay. We talked about geographical differences. We've talked about various different attitudes, different companies, how you're shaped by what comes before. I'm just thinking about generational differences. And we've spoken a few times on this podcast before in terms of family businesses, how transition can be an opportunity for more sustainability to be built in because the attitudes of the next generation might want to have sustainability as a more core issue. We've also spoken about students, younger people and their attitudes and the positivity of them and the activity of them. But I also know from talking to you previously that the next generation see what the previous generation have had, and whether it fits with sustainability or not, they want that sometimes. They want the fast cars, they want the private jets, they want all of those kind of things which don't necessarily have sustainability written all over them at all. But they come to see that as what success means. It means having those kind of assets and that kind of lifestyle. Do you see that a lot? Or are you seeing more the attitude of people maybe thinking, yeah, that's what the last generation had, but we need to be different?
Yeah, I mean, that's a powerful question because it's also connected to what Jen was saying earlier about geographical differences. Where are they different and where are they not different? So I think as human beings, we are our lifestyles are really what we decide, but we are also influenced by where we work because that's where we get influenced by. That's where we get our monies from. The communities that we're a part of, and how do we get a sustainable lifestyle, right? Is the way I'm paraphrasing your question. The focus is on, is that my lifestyle sustainable? Because if all the media bombardment is that success equals bigger cars, multiple houses and villas, maybe a Gulfstream G5, then how do we start making choices which are good for ourselves and for the planet? for example, there are articles constantly popping up on several things. So, for example, uh, the the abundance with which personal home loans are available, and how a lot of young people are falling into the trap of taking a lot of loans, right? So that is so what do? You earn more, and so what does that do to your? So if I have to keep earning more, to pay off more, and to have a lifestyle which is the jet set, then what does that do to my headspace, right? I don't think it leaves much for sustaining myself. I think the other pressures which we are not only seeing in India but also South Asia, Southeast Asia, is the pressures which are leading young people to damage themselves, harm themselves. And where is that coming from? Because the uh, education, especially in certain kinds of institutions or educational, the grades that you need, which are being driven by unstated or stated family pressures, the grades that you need to get the right college, the right job, and hence the right lifestyle, the stress is unbearable. There are young children who don't. I mean, my wife and I were talking the other day that in our childhood we had a lot of time to run around, play, go to people's houses and so on and so forth. And today, children are like uh, early morning they have a coaching for sport, full day school. From school they're heading for some other coaching in studies or in art or in music. So where is their childhood? Right?
Yeah.
And hence, what is their adulthood?
It's a whole different time and space, and I think Sanjay and I might be the same generation, and it's sort of like
I think you've done Sanjay a disservice.
He's so cheeky, but yeah, just that the chance to get bored is just not there. I think for lots of young people.
Yeah, it's. I've got two young children at home, and we do say they have a more active social life than us, in as much as that we have guides, we have karate, we have swimming, we have football, we have occasional other things as well, like camps and school trips and music, piano lessons. They have so much programmed in. It programs into our lives as well, but yes, it's like they've got so much programmed in. It is just nice sometimes for them just to be able to do nothing, so to speak, nothing structured. They don't have to be there at a certain time to be able to do what they want.
Yeah.
We're coming towards the end then, Sanjay, and there's so much of your life and career we haven't had a chance to look at. I'm really fascinated about his film career.
Yes, indeed.
As much as anything. Your work with UNICEF on polio in India, various other things. But let's just draw it to a conclusion by looking to the future. And what do you think should come next when it comes to leaders thinking about sustainability and sustainable transitions?
So, Paul, let me try and respond at several levels, right? Let me start by saying, what can the individual leader do, right? Which is in their span of influence and control, right? And then perhaps move towards what management boards and society, right? People like us who are thinking about these things, and we're talking about how this influences the younger generation, right? So I think what leaders, individual leaders, and the ones I really respect, I've seen, learned from, right? For example, Dr. Chirag Shah and Dr. Dinesh Burhani, Dr. Rohan Haldar. These are three hemato-oncology practitioners, right? Dr. Shah is one of my mentors. I've seen them working closely, right? Hemato-oncology, by the way, is blood cancer. The immensity of patients which come to them is unbelievable. But what they do is they create such a space of stillness and deep listening, right? It's like in the chaos, there is nobody else around them. And I've seen this with the other leaders that I've worked with. So where does that listening come from? It comes from intent. So to me, the in the last 20 years, if I could pick one word which impacts transitions, it is intent, right? Because intent creates that space. And whether you're a corporate leader, you're a teacher, you're a whoever you are, when you are listening deeply, you create that safe space, you create that space for agency, autonomy, for the other person to feel that they're alive and they can express themselves. And that is a big plus in them taking on accountability, which finally creates impact. So leaders who create structures, for example, meetings which are data driven, which end with decisions, meetings which create predictability, not rambling chaos. Leaders who have deeper performance conversations, and this ties into your earlier point, Jen, about cultural differences, right? Performance conversations where you don't not only understand what was done well or not done well, but you understand career aspirations, family realities, interests. So you're dealing with the entire person, right? I think this is what a lot of individual leaders can do. Influence policy, influence processes, influence ways of working, right? This is in their ambit. But at a larger level, boardrooms and governments, unless and until they set, monitor, and adhere to targets which focus on the health of the planet and the well-being and joy of the people, unless this becomes central and not a byproduct, transitions won't be sustainable. Because there is a latest research which has come up that the number of mental well-being programs is going on, but the impact is actually regressing. So if the organization is wired around the profit motive or around ideology or around whatever, but is not wired around the sustainability of its people, which in turn means sustainability of at least the environment around you, then we will keep having the COP conferences in 25, 26, 27, which are much ado about nothing as far as the common citizen is concerned. So that's my response, that if we had to fight the future with structures and tools of the past, we will always be vanquished.
Sanjay, you've given us so much to think about and to discuss. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful discussion.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Paul.
Do you feel, Jan, that you've gained a good understanding from Sanjay about leadership attitudes towards sustainability and how they're changing?
Absolutely. And I mean, he was such an inspiring speaker. I just felt myself leaning in to listen very, very carefully and in a very focused way. And I think in particular, having conversations outside of the European Anglo-American bubble is actually quite important. And his way of articulating, even it works globally, but articulating from his position that holistic, internally and externally aligned intent, accountability of oneself before you even enter into that leadership piece more greatly. I feel quite inspired and quite humbled to have had that conversation.
I like Sanjay's categorization, sort of the range of caring and attitudes towards sustainability. He went from oblivious and uncaring to aware and acting. And you've got that scale, one end or the other, where people are treating sustainability. And as he said, not just necessarily within the organisation. You can't rely on an organisation to shape you. You have to have personal accountability and therefore have your personal shaping of attitudes towards sustainability and leadership.
Yeah, and one of the things he said that he talked about well-being and joy. I love the word joy. We don't use it enough. I don't think any of us have enough joy in our lives. And so that also came across as something that, really, I thought, yep, joy.
This is another renaming coming up. We've had one previously, and now it's going to be the Pentland Centre for Wellbeing and Joy.
You could do a lot worse than that, believe you me. Yeah. I also like the fact that he's interested in transition, because quite often we sort of go, oh, transformation, but actually transformation is, a whole different thing, whereas transition and thinking about those steps and processes and the reinforcement and then the systems and the data that would have to follow processes of change. So I like transition as well.
And I like the talk about authenticity as well. And something you mentioned at the very start before we even brought Sanjay in about being an authentic leader. And Sanjay just stressed the importance of authenticity for both companies and for individual leaders within organisations.
Yeah, no, that was pretty inspiring.
And I'm disappointed that my level of success isn't such that I have a Gulfstream G5. This podcast has not gone as well as I hoped it would when we started it, because apparently that's it. That's the measure of success. Gulfstream G5. Do you have one?
No,
Back garden near the hedgehog path that you've got.
Is it a plane?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I clearly haven't. I don't even know what it is. I kind of, I know about.
Could have told you anything. No, it's a blender.
It's a blender.
You're not using the Gulfstream G5 as your air fryer. What are you doing?
No. I think I can see how you can be seduced by that, but I think that's really tough. If that's your point of seduction, that's a tough life you have to lead to get to that.
I don't know how much use I would get out of a Gulfstream G5. Probably not as much as most people who have one. Yeah, all my money would have gone on the Gulfstream G5, and I'd never be able to afford to have anyone flying me in it anyway. That would be the problem.
Yeah,
yes.
I think you and I are not in the category of people who are going to go down that route.
No. Well, where are we flying to next week?
Well, I think that given that we've really looked at leadership, I think we should look at some other tough concepts. I think innovation should be next.
Innovation?
Yeah.
No, that's what you mean. Okay, right. Let's move from leadership to innovation, and we'll speak to Barbara Salopek, who's an author, an academic, and an innovator. So she'll be able to tell us an awful lot about that, and that'll be a really interesting topic next week.
I look forward to it.
Until then, thank you very much for listening, and it's goodbye from me, Paul Turner.
And it's goodbye from me, Jan Babington.